I'm David Adler, president of the Alturas Institute and a constitutional scholar. President Donald Trump asserted that he has the absolute power to pardon himself. Here are 4 reasons why he's absolutely wrong. Reason number 1, the president does not have unlimited power. One of President Trump's principal arguments is that under Article 2 of the Constitution, the president possesses an unlimited presidential power. This is untrue. If this were the case, the framers of the Constitution never would have bothered to articulate or enumerate specific powers in Article 2. They simply would have granted the president a blank check. Obviously, they did not. Indeed, if you look at Article 2, you see that the framers enumerated several specific powers. For example, the power to make appointments to office, to receive ambassadors, the duty, for example, to take care to faithfully execute the laws. The assertion by President Trump of an unlimited power then flies in the face of the framers' decision to specifically articulate or enumerate the powers possessed by the presidency. President Trump's claim then flies in the face of the framers' actions, what was said in the Constitutional Convention, and of course flies in the face of our very written Constitution. Reason number 2, the framers created a limited presidential pardon power. President Trump's assertion of an unlimited power is undercut by the very fact that the framers discussed and debated in the Constitutional Convention in Philadelphia in 1787 the limited scope of the pardon power. The framers expressed deep-seated concerns about granting to the president a pardoning authority based partly on their historical familiarity with the practice of pardons granted by English kings who were notorious for violating and abusing the pardon power. English kings, for example, often granted pardons to serve their own pecuniary, political, and personal interests. The framers of the Constitution feared that a future American president might do the same. George Mason of Virginia, one of the leading delegates, came forward and warned that a president might screen from punishment those whom he had instigated to commit treason and thereby avoid discovery of his own guilt. Mason's warning pointed to one of the framers' worst nightmares, the subversion of the republic by pardons. James Wilson, second in importance only to James Madison as an architect of the Constitution and a delegate from Pennsylvania, came forward and said, if the president were to abuse the power in that manner by pardoning his aides and associates to hide discovery of his own guilt, then he would be subject to impeachment. This mention by James Wilson of the availability of the impeachment power to temper the president's abuse of power provided the very assurance that the framers needed finally to grant the president the authority. The framers' decision to make the pardon power subject to the impeachment power reflected their own determination then to limit the scope of the pardon power possessed by the president. This very fact undermines President Trump's claim of an unlimited pardon power. Reason number 3, the president may not be judge of his own cause. President Trump's claim of an unlimited power to pardon himself flies in the face of the rock-solid pillar of Anglo-American jurisprudence that prohibits any man from being judge of his own cause. This fundamental precept, embedded in Anglo-American jurisprudence since 1610, establishes the great concern that would prohibit any man from putting himself in a position to be judge, jury, and executioner of his own fate. When President Trump claims then an absolute power to pardon himself, he is running up against this ancient precept which has remained undisturbed for well over 400 years. And in fact, if President Trump were able to pardon himself, making himself judge of his own cause, he could instigate the very nightmare that the framers most greatly feared. As Justice Joseph Story said, it would allow the president to prevent the thorough investigation of his own conduct. Moreover, the idea that the president could, in fact, protect himself by granting a pardon creates a situation then in which the president could shred the principle established in 1610 in Dr. Bonham's case that the president may not be judge of his own cause, and it would also shred the doctrine of separation of powers and checks and balances, the two mighty pillars of our constitutional system. Reason number 4, the president is barred by the principle of the rule of law from pardoning himself. Until Donald Trump's assertion of an unlimited power to pardon himself, no president in our history, except Richard Nixon, had ever contemplated the idea of pardoning himself. Richard Nixon, caught in the clutches of the crushing pressure of Watergate, turned to his attorney, Leonard Garment, and asked about the advisability and the legality of a presidential self-pardon. Leonard Garment, even though he was in the service of the president, said that a presidential pardon for himself would be grotesque. It would be, Garment said, to say to hell with the system, to say hell with justice itself. Indeed, the counsel to the president warned Richard Nixon not to even contemplate it. To his credit, Richard Nixon never seriously entertained the idea of granting himself a pardon. Yet Donald Trump continues to dangle the idea of a presidential pardon for himself before the American people. I'm David Adler, president of the Alturas Institute. Thank you for joining us. If you enjoy this video, please click like and subscribe to this channel. Again, thanks for joining us. Good luck, everyone. Long live the Republic.